The blade of the kitchen scissors glinted under the fluorescent light, slicing clean through Joshua's cheek in the photo, like his smile had never lit up that Christmas morning. "You think this changes anything? You're dead to us now." His father's voice cracked like thunder over the Rockies, the words landing heavier than the Bible thumped on the oak table. Joshua's world shattered in the echo of that door slam. His duffel bag slung over his shoulder, the only anchor left in the storm of his unraveling family. Joshua stumbled out into the biting Denver chill, the kind that seeped into your bones and stayed there, whispering doubts with every gust. It was December 2018, and the city lights blurred through the tears he refused to let fall. Not yet, not where his parents could see. The family home in Aurora, just east of the mile-high city, had been his anchor since he was a kid. Barbecues in the backyard with Dad firing up the grill, Mom's apple pie cooling on the sill, and Tyler, his older brother by 3 years, always dragging him into some half-baked adventure. Tyler, with his easy grin and calloused hands from fixing trucks at the garage, had been the one constant. Until tonight. It started with a confession Joshua had rehearsed 1,000 times in the mirror. "Dad, Mom, I'm gay." The words hung in the air like smoke from Dad's after-dinner cigar, thick and choking. Mom's hand flew to her cross necklace, eyes wide as saucers. "Dad?" He didn't yell at first, just stared, then grabbed that old photo album from the shelf, the one with the big family portrait from last year's reunion, all of them in matching sweaters, arms slung around each other under the aspens. Joshua's face, beaming right in the middle, got the blade. Snip. Gone. "We don't air our dirty laundry," Dad muttered, sweeping the scraps into the trash like yesterday's news. Joshua walked for hours, boots crunching snow until his feet went numb. By the time he hit a dive bar on Colfax Avenue, the kind with neon signs flickering Budweiser, and sticky floors that smelled like regret, he was ready to drown it all. He ordered a whiskey neat, the burn a poor substitute for the ache in his chest. That's when he met Alex. Tall, with messy chestnut hair and eyes like the Platte River at midnight, deep and uncharted. Alex slid onto the stool next to him, nursing a IPA, and clocked the red rims around Joshua's eyes in seconds. "Rough night." Alex's voice was low, laced with that Midwestern drawl that made everything sound like an invitation. Joshua laughed, bitter and broken. "You could say that. Family just performed an impromptu surgery. Cut me out like a tumor." Alex winced, but his smile didn't falter. "Sounds like they don't know what they're missing. I'm Alex, and you look like you could use a real drink, not that firewater." They talked until last call, about growing up in the shadow of the mountains, Alex's escape from a conservative ranch in Wyoming. The way coming out felt like jumping off a cliff without a parachute. By the time they stumbled out into the snow, Joshua's duffel felt a little less heavy. Alex's apartment was a fifth-floor walk-up in Lodo, all exposed brick and second-hand furniture, with a view of the city skyline that made the hurt feel smaller. They didn't kiss that night, just crashed on the couch, Alex's arm draped protectively over Joshua's shoulder, a silent promise in the dark. The next morning, sunlight pierced the blinds like accusatory fingers. Joshua woke to the smell of coffee and pancakes. Actual pancakes, fluffy stacks drowning in maple syrup. Alex was flipping them at the stove, humming some old Springsteen tune. "Figured you'd need fuel for whatever war you're marching into today." Joshua sat at the rickety table, phone clutched in his hand. 20 missed calls from Tyler. His heart twisted. Tyler hadn't said a word during the blow-up. Just sat there, jaw clenched, staring at his boots. Brother against brother? No, that couldn't be. He hit call, bracing for the fallout. "Josh? Jesus, man. Where are you?" Tyler's voice was gravel and worry, the kind that came from too many smokes and not enough sleep. "Does it matter? I'm out. For good." A pause, heavy as the snow piling outside. "It matters to me. Dad's a bull-headed asshole, but he's scared. Mom's crying her eyes out. Come home. We can fix this." "Fix me, you mean?" Joshua's voice cracked. "They literally cut my face out of the family photo, Ty. Like I was never there." Tyler swore under his breath. That was low. Look, I should have said something. I froze. But you're my brother. Blood. That doesn't snip away. Joshua hung up, the dial tone a hollow echo. Alex set a plate in front of him, those river-deep eyes searching. Family's complicated, but you don't have to go it alone. For the first few weeks, Joshua crashed at Alex's, piecing together a life from the shards. He landed a gig bartending at a queer-friendly spot in Capitol Hill. Rainbow flags fluttering outside, drag shows on weekends that turned the place into a riot of glitter and laughter. Alex worked as a graphic designer, freelancing from his laptop, sketching logos for local breweries. Their nights blurred into something tender. Stolen kisses over takeout Thai, slow dances in the living room to vinyl records spinning Johnny Cash, bodies fitting like puzzle pieces long lost. Alex's touch was patient, reverent, fingers tracing the scars Joshua didn't even know he carried, whispering, "You're whole to me," against his skin. But the ghost of home lingered. Tyler texted daily. Memes about dumb truck fails, links to Broncos highlights, never pushing, just reminding Joshua he existed. One night, after a shift that left him smelling like cheap tequila and heartbreak, Joshua scrolled through old photos on his phone. There they were, him and Tyler, age 10 and 13, building a fort in the backyard with dad's extension cords and mom's bedsheets. Tyler's arm around his shoulders, protective as ever. Joshua's thumb hovered over the delete button, then swiped it away. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms dusting the streets like confetti. Joshua and Alex made it official-ish. A quiet dinner at a rooftop spot overlooking Coors Field, where Alex slipped a key onto Joshua's, keyring with a grin. Not proposing or anything, just stay. Make this mess ours. Joshua pulled him close. The city hummed below them, a symphony of possibility. Yeah, ours. But summers in Colorado bring wildfires, and Joshua's ignited on a sweltering July afternoon. Tyler called, voice tight. Family reunions this weekend. Up in the cabin by Estes Park. Dad's acting like nothing happened. Mom wants you there. Joshua's grip tightened on the bar rag. Wants me? Or wants to pretend? Both, I guess. Look, I told them you're coming. As you. No bullshit. You what? Rage bubbled up, hot and unbidden. You don't get to decide that, Ty. This isn't your fight. It is. You're my brother. Tyler's words hung, fierce and unyielding. Joshua showed up anyway, duffel packed, Alex's hand in his for the drive up I-70. The cabin was the same. Log walls smelling of pine and memory, elk heads glaring from above the mantel. Dad grunted a hello, eyes sliding away like oil on water. Mom hugged him too tight, whispering apologies into his collar. And Tyler clapped him on the back, introduced Alex as Josh's guy, like it was the most natural thing. The first night was a minefield. Dinner around the fire pit, esmores sticky on fingers, but the air crackled with unspoken barbs. Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, cracked a joke about city boys gone soft, and Dad chuckled, low, approving. Joshua's fork clattered against his plate. Alex squeezed his thigh under the picnic table, a lifeline. Later, by the lake, stars pricking the velvet sky, Joshua confronted Tyler on the dock. Why drag me here? To parade the prodigal son. Tyler's silhouette was broad against the water. Because family's not a photo you can edit. It's the mess, the fights, the silences, the way you show up anyway. I should have spoken up that night. I didn't. That's on me. Joshua's throat burned. You think one weekend fixes it? Dad looks at me like I'm a stranger. Then we make him remember. Tyler pulled something from his jacket. A manila envelope, edges worn. Inside, the original family portrait, Joshua's face meticulously taped back in place, edges smoothed with care. I fixed it, best I could. Tears stung, hot and unwelcome. Joshua clutched it, the paper crinkling like a heartbeat. Alex watched from the shore, giving them space, his presence a quiet strength. The weekend unraveled in fits and starts. Hikes through Rocky Mountain National Park, where Dad grumbled but kept pace. sharing stories of his own wild youth, omitting the parts that might humanize him. Fishing at dawn, Tyler baiting Joshua's hook like they were kids again. Alex fit in seamlessly, charming mom with questions about her quilting, drawing laughs from Uncle Ray with sketches of lopsided trout. But betrayal brewed like a storm over Long's Peak. On the last night, around the bonfire, Dad pulled Joshua aside. "Son, I love you, but this life of yours is a choice, one that pulls you from us." Joshua's blood ran cold. "A choice? Like cutting me out was yours?" Dad's face hardened. "I did what I had to, for the family." And there it was, the knife twist. Tyler, eavesdropping from the shadows, stepped forward, eyes blazing. "No, Dad, you did what was easy. Josh didn't choose to be born loving who he loves. But I choose this, he's my brother. Period. And if you can't see that, you're the one who's cut out." The fire popped, embers swirling like accusations. Dad's mouth opened, closed. Mom gasped, hand to her chest. The family froze, the weight of Tyler's words a thunderclap in the night. Joshua's heart hammered. Betrayal? No, this was redemption, raw and real. He grabbed Tyler's arm, pulling him into a hug that crushed the air from them both. Alex joined, a circle of three against the world. They drove back to Denver at dawn, the portrait tucked safe in Joshua's lap. The city welcomed them with open arms, coffee shops buzzing, pride flags still fluttering from June's echoes. Life didn't snap back perfect. Dad sent a stiff text days later. "We talk more. Soon." But it was a crack in the armor, sunlight through storm clouds. Months blurred into fall, leaves turning the front range to fire. Joshua and Alex built routines. Weekend getaways to hot springs in Glenwood, lazy Sundays with brunch at Jelly Cafe, where mimosas flowed and laughter came easy. Tyler visited often, crashing on their couch, regaling them with garage tales and bad karaoke. One night, over beers on the balcony, Tyler raised a toast to putting pieces back, even the jagged ones. Joshua clinked bottles, Alex's hand warm in his. "To us, all of us." But love, like mountains, has hidden crevasses. Winter hit hard that year, blizzards burying the city, mirroring the chill creeping into Joshua and Alex's rhythm. Alex's freelance dried up. Commissions trickled to nothing, stress etching lines around his eyes. Joshua picked up extra shifts, but money fights simmered, whispers turning to shouts about whose turn it was to step up. It climaxed on a February night, wind howling like banshees off the plains. Alex stormed out after Joshua snapped about unpaid bills, the door rattling in its frame. Joshua paced the apartment, heart in his throat, dialing Tyler because who else? He's gone. I pushed too hard. What if I ruin everything good? Tyler's truck rumbled up 20 minutes later, headlights cutting the snow. They drove Colfax in silence at first, then Tyler pulled over at that same dive bar. "You didn't ruin shit. Love's not a straight line, Josh. It's this messy, freezing, worth chasing." Inside, the jukebox wailed Patsy Cline. Alex was there, slumped at the bar, nursing the same whiskey Joshua had that first night. Tyler nudged him forward. "Go. Say the thing that matters." Joshua slid onto the stool, voice steady despite the quake inside. "I'm sorry. For the pressure, the fear. But I'm all in. You, me, this crazy life. Let's weather it." Alex turned, eyes red-rimmed but soft. "I thought you were done with my storms." "Never." Joshua leaned in, their kiss tasting of salt and second chances, the bar fading to a hum. Spring brought renewal. Alex landed a steady gig with a Denver ad agency. Joshua cut back hours to take night classes in graphic design, dreaming of partnering up someday. Tyler started dating a mechanic named Sam, all tattoos and quiet wit, and family dinners became tentative rituals. Dad thawing with each passing plate of Mom's lasagna, stories flowing freer, the portrait now framed on the mantel, Joshua's face intact. Yet the deepest currents run silent. One August evening, as the sun dipped behind the Rockies, painting the sky in bruised purples, Joshua and Alex hiked to a overlook in Genesee Park. Bison grazed below, ancient and unhurried. Alex dropped to one knee. Not with a ring, but a sketch. Their faces intertwined with Tyler's, a family tree branching wild and free. "Marry me?" Alex asked, voice cracking. "Not legally yet, but in every way that counts." Joshua pulled him up, yes on his lips, their embrace fierce against the wind. Below, the world stretched vast, flawed, beautiful, American to its core. Tyler joined them later that summer for a backyard vow. Nothing fancy, just close friends, fairy lights strung across the fence, Alex's mom toasting with tears and tequila. Dad showed, awkward in his button-down, but he stayed. Hugged Joshua at the end, mumbling, "Proud of you, son." Mom sobbed happy, clutching the portrait like a talisman. As leaves fell again, Joshua traced the lines of Alex's hand in bed, the city asleep outside. "Think we'll make it?" All the cuts and comebacks. Alex smiled, that river-deep gaze holding steady. "With you? Every damn time." And in the quiet, Joshua knew. Family wasn't blood or photos or perfect poses. It was the sentence that stitched you back. The one Tyler uttered by the fire, echoing still. "He's my brother. Period." The autumn winds swept through Denver like a restless ghost, carrying whispers of change that Joshua felt in his marrow. It was October 2020 now, the world still reeling from the pandemic's grip. Masks on every face, empty streets echoing with uncertainty. But for Joshua and Alex, their little bubble in Lodo held firm. Mornings tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender detergent, evenings sketching designs on the coffee table, Tyler's occasional drop-ins with six-packs and stories from the garage. Life, for once, felt like it was bending toward grace. Yet grace has a way of testing its own limits. Tyler called one crisp afternoon, voice edged with something Joshua hadn't heard since that night at the cabin. Urgency, laced with fear. "It's Dad. Heart attack. He's at Swedish Medical. Stable, but get here." The drive to Englewood blurred. Alex behind the wheel, Joshua's hand white-knuckled on the dash, memories flashing like lightning. Dad's rough hugs after Little League losses, the way he'd sneak Joshua extra marshmallows at campfires, even after the scissors incident. Betrayal had scarred. But love? That ran deeper, stubborn as Colorado clay. They burst into the hospital room, the sterile beep of monitors a stark counterpoint to the chaos in Joshua's chest. Dad lay propped up, pale against the pillows, for lines snaking like accusations. Mom hovered, eyes puffy, twisting her necklace. Tyler stood sentinel by the window, arms crossed, jaw set like granite. "Josh!" Dad's voice was a rasp, but his eyes, those steel-blue eyes, locked on his youngest with a clarity that punched the air from the room. "Didn't think you'd come. Family, right?" Joshua forced a smile, stepping closer. Alex hung back, giving space, his presence a warm shadow. Dad nodded, wincing as he shifted. "Yeah, about that. I've been thinking. A lot. That night with the photo. I was wrong. Scared shitless of what folks would say, what it'd do to us. But cutting you out? That cut me deepest." The words landed soft, but they cracked something open in Joshua. A fissure where resentment had calcined. He sank into the chair, Tyler's hand heavy on his shoulder. "Why now?" "'Cause life's short. Saw it clear as day when the doc wheeled me in. You tie hell, even that Alex fella, you're the best parts of me. Don't want to die with regrets." "You won't," Tyler interjected, voice thick. "We're here." The room softened then, conversations weaving like threads. Mom sharing hospital jello horror stories. Alex chiming in with a doodle of Dad as a superhero on a napkin. Cape of Courage, they dubbed it. Laughter bubbled, tentative at first, then free. By evening, as rain pattered the window, Dad pulled Joshua close. "Forgive an old bull?" Joshua's throat closed. "Already did. Long time ago." Recovery was a slow burn. Dad home by Thanksgiving, propped on the couch with a stack of westerns, barking orders at Tyler to fetch more pillows. Joshua and Alex hosted the meal. Turkey brine to perfection, Alex's pumpkin pie stealing the show. The table groaned under sides. Green bean casserole, cornbread stuffing, and for the first time in years, it felt whole. No ghosts at the edges, just the clink of forks and stories tumbling over each other. Dad even asked about the wedding plans, awkward, probing, but genuine. When's the big day? Gotta rent a tux that doesn't make me look like a penguin. Joshua grinned, exchanging a look with Alex. Summer. Backyard thing. Keep it simple. Good. Invite the whole damn town. Show 'em how it's done. Winter wrapped them in its hush, but romance simmered beneath. Joshua surprised Alex on Valentine's with a drive to Maroon Bells. Snow-draped peaks mirroring the Rockies' majesty. The lake a frozen mirror. They picnicked on thermoses of hot cocoa and sandwiches, bundled in parkas, breaths mingling in white plumes. Remember our first real date? Alex murmured, gloved hand finding Joshua's. That rooftop, city lights like stars we'd never reach. Joshua leaned in, nuzzling his neck. We reached M. Built our own constellation. Their kiss melted the chill, slow and deep, bodies pressing close against the wind. Back in the truck, fogged windows their only privacy, hands roamed, exploring with the familiarity of lovers who'd weathered gales. Alex's moans were soft hymns, Joshua's name a prayer on chilled lips. It was passion reborn, fierce and affirming, the world narrowing to the heat between them. Spring unfurled with promise. Joshua's classes wrapping, his portfolio blooming under Alex's mentorship. They landed their first joint client, a local LGBTQ plus youth center needing branding. Late nights turned electric, sketches evolving into logos that screamed belonging. Rainbow arcs weaving through mountain silhouettes. Tyler, meanwhile, navigated his own thaw. Sam moved in, their garage apartment a haven of oil stains and weekend BBQs. One night, beers in hand on Joshua's balcony, Tyler confessed over the city hum. Told Dad about Sam. The tattoos, the bikes, whole package. He just nodded. Said, as long as he treats you right. Progress, huh? Joshua clinked his bottle. Giant leaps. You started it all, you know. That sentence by the fire. Tyler shrugged, modest as ever. Truth's easy when you stop running from it. But conflict, that old coyote, circled back in June, Pride Month, when Denver pulsed with color. The parade route throbbed. Floats blaring Lady Gaga. Marchers in sequins and signs proclaiming, love wins. Joshua and Alex walked hand in hand, Tyler and Sam trailing with rainbow lays. It was euphoria. Strangers high-fiving, confetti raining like blessings. Then, a face from the past. Uncle Ray sidled up to Dad at the after-party in Cheeseman Park. Joshua caught the tail of it. Ray's voice slurred. Still think the boy's a phase? City's gone soft. Dad's response? A stiff silence. Then a clap on Ray's back that rang false. Joshua confronted him later, away from the throng, Alex's hand a steady anchor. Heard that. Phase? After everything. Dad's face crumpled, age lines deepening. Ray's an idiot. Old habits. But you're no phase. You're my son. It wasn't enough, not holy. Hurt festered, a thorn under skin. Joshua pulled back, dinner skipped, calls dodged. Alex noticed, of course, holding him through nightmares where scissors snipped endlessly. Give it time, he'd murmur, fingers carting through Joshua's hair. Healing's not linear. Tyler bridged the gap, as always. A fishing trip to 11 Mile Reservoir, just the brothers, rods casting lines into glassy water, cooler stocked with cores. Dad's beating himself up, wants to make it right. Let him. Joshua reeled in a trout, silver flashing. How? Words are cheap. Actions. He's donating to that youth center. Anonymous, but I know. The dam broke then. Tears mixing with lake spray, Tyler's arms engulfing him in a bear hug. We're okay, Josh. Messy, but okay. Summer solstice brought the wedding. Their backyard transformed, string lights twinkling like fireflies, wildflowers in mason jars. A playlist of Alex's favorites from the Lumineers to Chapel Roan. 50 souls gathered. Tyler officiating in a borrowed suit. Mom dabbing eyes with a hanky. Dad beaming from the front row. Uncle Ray notably absent. Vows exchanged under the aspens. Joshua's voice steady. You saw me when I was invisible. I choose you, every storm. Alex's. Choked. You're my horizon. Always. The kiss sealed it. Cheers erupting, Tyler whooping loudest. Reception spilled into night. Dancing barefoot on grass. Cake smeared on noses. Toasts sloshing with joy. But romance deepened in the afterglow. Honeymoon in Moab. Red rock arches framing sunsets. Tent zipped against desert chill. Nights where there's alone. Bodies entwined under stars. Alex's whispers tracing galaxies on Joshua's skin. Husband. He'd breathe. The word a revelation. Joshua's responses were gasps. Arches. A symphony of surrender. Love made flesh. Urgent and eternal. Fall returned. Leaves carpeting the city in gold. Dad's donation went public. Headlines in the Post. Local rancher backs LGBTQ plus youth. Ray called apologetic, but Joshua let it ring. Forgiveness? Earned, not owed. One November Eve. Snow dusting the balcony. The four of them, Joshua, Alex, Tyler, Sam, gathered with hot toddies. The family portrait, restored and reframed, hung inside, a beacon. Tyler raised his mug to sentences that stick. And the men who live him. Laughter rang out warm as hearthfire. Joshua leaned into Alex, heart full. In America's heartland, amid mountains that humbled and cities that pulsed, they'd carved their place. Not perfect, but profoundly theirs. Winter's grip tightened that year, blanketing Denver in a white hush that muffled the world's clamor. Joshua and Alex's first holiday season as husbands unfolded like a dream scripted by Norman Rockwell, with a queer twist, tree strung with ornaments from thrift shops and travels, a menorah candle flickering beside the nativity because why not blend it all? Tyler and Sam crashed the eve, bearing a ham glazed in pineapple and ribs smoked low and slow. Dad and Mom arrived fashionably late, arms laden with pie tins and a reluctance that had softened to something resembling ease. Dinner was a symphony of clatter and chatter. Stories of Christmases passed tumbling out like wrapped gifts. Dad even cracked a joke about his near-death ticker, earning groans and grins. As midnight neared, they gathered round the piano. Alex's thrift find, keys slightly off tune, and belted carols, Tyler's baritone rumbling, "Oh Holy Night," while Joshua harmonized falsetto, drawing laughs. In that glow, the scissors snip felt like ancient history. A scar faded to silver. But scars itch when you least expect. New Year's brought a curveball. Alex's agency expanded, demanding late nights and a trip to LA for pitches. Joshua waved him off at DIA, kiss lingering like a promise. 2 weeks. I'll hold the fort. Solitude crept in slow, shifts at the bar blending into sketches for the youth center's expansion. Walks along the Cherry Creek Trail where bare branches clawed the sky. Tyler filled gaps with brotherly chaos. Pick-up basketball at the rec center, where they trash talk like teens, or dives into microbrews at Great Divide, sampling hazy IPAs that loosen tongues. One frosty night, post-game, sweat cooling on their skin, Tyler broached the unbroached. Heard from Ray. Joshua shrugged, chugging water. Nah, good riddance. He's family too, Josh. Blood's thicker, even when it's toxic. Thicker than what? The bullshit he spews. Joshua's voice sharpened, old wounds pulsing. Tyler sighed, clapping his back. Just, don't let hate harden you. Dad's trying. Ray could too. The seed planted, nagging. Joshua mulled it over during Alex's absence, texts bridging the miles. Heart emojis from sun-soaked beaches, voice notes husky with missing you. When Alex returned, tanned, triumphant with a fat contract, Joshua greeted him at the gate with roses and a hunger that led straight to the bedroom. Reunion was fire. Clothes shed in a trail, bodies colliding with the urgency of separation. Alex's hands mapped familiar terrain, mouth hot on Joshua's collarbone, drawing out moans that echoed off brick walls. Missed this, Alex gasped, thrusting deep, their rhythm a reclaiming. Climax shattered them, spent and sated. whispers weaving futures in the afterglow. Spring bloomed defiant, tulips pushing through snowmelt, the city shaking off winter's lethargy. Joshua's designs for the center went viral locally. Murals of intertwined hands against mountain backdrops, symbolizing roots that bent but never broke. Tyler proposed to Sam on a whim, kneeling in the garage amid wrenches, ring pilfered from a vintage watch. "Marry me? Make this grease monkey life official." Sam's yes came with a tackle hug, laughter ringing. Joshua and Alex threw the engagement bash. Rooftop affair at their building, fairy lights and fire pits, guests spilling stories under star-pricked skies. Dad showed solo, Mom under the weather, and cornered Joshua by the railing. "Proud of you boys. Tyler told me about the art." "Good work." Joshua searched his face, probing for sincerity. "Means coming from you." Dad cleared his throat, gaze on the twinkling skyline. "I ever tell you about my uncle? Back in the war. He was, like you, loved a fella in the trenches. Never spoke of it after. Buried him deep when he came home. Wish I'd known sooner. Might have eased things." The confession hung, vulnerable as fresh snow. Joshua's chest tightened. "You telling me now eases plenty." A nod, gruff embrace, progress inch by inch. But betrayal's shadow loomed longest from Ray. It erupted at Tyler's bachelor party. A low-key cabin getaway in Frisco, Summit County snow dusting the pines. Beers by the fire, poker hands folding badly, Sam regaling with tattoo tales. Then Ray crashed the gate. Uninvited, bottle in hand, eyes bloodshot. Family reunion, eh? Without the black sheep. Ray slurred, collapsing into a chair. Tyler's jaw ticked. "Not now, Uncle." Ray's laugh was ugly, aimed at Joshua. "Always the dramatic one, parading your lifestyle." Dad'd roll in his grave. Dad wasn't dead, but the barb landed. Joshua rose, fists clenched. "Get out." Ray lurched up, face twisting. "Or what? You'll cry to your pansy husband." The room exploded. Tyler shoving Ray toward the door, Sam blocking, voices overlapping in fury. Joshua's vision tunneled, hurt crystallizing to rage. "You cut us out long before Dad ever did. We're done." Ray stumbled into the night, curses trailing. The fire died to embers, mood shattered. Tyler paced, guilt etching his brow. "Should have warned you." Joshua sank to the rug, Alex pulling him close. "It's him, not us. Let it go." Dawn broke clear, snow sparkling like absolution. They packed out early, bonds tested but intact. Back in Denver, Joshua confronted the ache head-on. A letter to Ray, words poured like balm. "Your blood, but blood doesn't excuse poison. Heal or stay away." Mailed, forgotten. Summer swelled with weddings. Tyler's first, a mountain affair at Red Rocks, vows echoing off amphitheater stones. Joshua stood best man, speech weaving humor and heart. "Ty, you fixed more than photos that night. You fixed us." Tears flowed, cheers thundered. Their own anniversary followed. A quiet return to that rooftop, city aglow below. Alex had planned it meticulous, picnic basket with champagne, a playlist of their firsts. As fireworks burst for the 4th, he pulled Joshua close. 1 year. Feels like forever. Joshua's hand slipped under his shirt, tracing spine. "Make it 2. Passion ignited slow, building to blaze. Kisses deepening on the blanket, bodies grinding in rhythm with distant booms. Alex's fingers worked buttons free, mouth trailing fire down Joshua's chest, eliciting shudders. They moved as one, urgent yet tender, release a shared supernova against the night. Fall's harvest brought bounty. The youth center's gala, Joshua's murals unveiled to applause, Dad in attendance, check in hand. "For the kids," he muttered, eyes misty. Ray's response? A postcard, postmarked Wyoming. "Sorry. Working on me. No olive branch, but a crack." Winter circled back, holidays warmer. Extended family thawing, stories shared without barbs. One eve, portrait in lap, Dad traced Joshua's taped-back face. Never cutting again. Promise. Joshua believed him. In America's weave of grit and grace, they'd mended, not seamless, but strong. File 3END, word count, 1004. The new year dawned with a ferocity that mirrored Joshua's resolve. COVID variants surging, but vaccines rolling out like hope in vials. Denver hunkered down, masks a second skin. But love? It adapted, thrived in Zoom dates and porch pints. Joshua and Alex turned their apartment into a creative bunker. Walls papered in mood boards, laptops humming with client calls. Tyler's garage pivoted to delivery mods. Trucks retrofitted for contactless hauls. Keeping him solvent, Sam tinkering beside. Yet isolation bred introspection. Joshua dove into therapy, virtual sessions with a counselor named Lena. Her voice a steady lighthouse through Zoom's glitchy seas. "Betrayal's a thief," she said one afternoon, as snow flurried outside. "Steals trust. But you're reclaiming." Reclaiming looked like boundaries. Weekly check-ins with Dad. No pressure talks over coffee at Ratio, where lattes steamed and regrets aired gentle. "Missed your art as a kid," Dad admitted once, stirring sugar. "Always doodling trucks better than me." Joshua chuckled, warmth spreading. "Still can. Sketch You 1, Superhero Edition." Dad's grin was boyish, unguarded. Romance 2 reclaimed fire. With Alex's workload easing, they carved us time. Sunrise yoga on the balcony. Bodies flowing in tandem, breaths sinking like lovers' code. Evenings dissolved into baths drawn hot, bubbles foaming, hands wandering lazy. Alex's soaping Joshua's back, thumbs pressing knots, lips brushing shoulders until sighs turned to moans. They'd tumble to the rug, towels discarded, exploring with the curiosity of newlyweds. Alex's tongue tracing hip bones, Joshua's gasps urging deeper. Climax a slow unraveling under the hum of the city. Spring 2022 erupted in riot. Lilacs perfuming alleys, patios reopening with a vengeance. Tyler and Sam's wedding anniversary hit, celebrated with a road trip to Telluride. Hairpin turns on $1 Million Highway, bluegrass festival pulsing in the streets. Tents pitched at altitude, nights crisp, Joshua and Alex stealing moments in the pines. Backs against bark, kisses fierce, hands delving under flannel to stoke flames. "Wild here?" Alex murmured, fingers curling, drawing Joshua's hitch of breath. They moved urgent, earth grounding them, release echoing in the rustle of leaves. Back home, conflict stirred subtle. The center's expansion hit snags, funding dips, bureaucracy snarling. Joshua poured soul into grants, but rejection emails piled like snowdrifts. Alex noticed the slump, countering with date nights at home. Candlelit pasta, his foot hooking Joshua's under the table, eyes promising distraction. One stormy May Eve, thunder rumbling like discontent, Joshua snapped. Laptop slammed. "What's the point if no one cares?" Alex crossed the room, pulling him up. "I care. Tyler. The kids who'll see those walls." His kiss was anchor, deepening to devour. Shirts yanked, bodies slamming against counter. Alex lifting him with ease, legs wrapping as thrusts met gasps. It was catharsis, raw and redemptive, storm outside paling to their tempest. Summer scorched, wildfires choking the air with ash. Evac alerts pinged phones, but the real blaze was Tyler's news. Pregnant. Surrogate old college buddy. Baby in spring. Joy exploded, brothers hugging fierce, plans spilling. Nurseries in the garage apartment, family barbecues with tiny hands. Joshua and Alex dove in, designing a mobile with mountain motifs. Onesies silk-screened with little peak. Dad's reaction? A quiet awe. "Grandkid. Never thought." He trailed, then clapped Tyler's shoulder. "Do right by him. Like I should've." Humanity in the admission. Joshua filed it, forgiveness flowering. But betrayal's echo resounded in August heat. Ray resurfaced. Email to the family list, CCING all. "Heard about the tyke. Congrats. But let's keep it traditional. No rainbow nonsense at the shower." The thread ignited, Mom's polite deflection. Tyler's delete. Joshua? He replied. Measured. Tradition evolves. Join or step aside. Ray's retort. Radio silence. But whispers reached Joshua. Ray's ranch struggling, divorce papers filed, isolation his own blade. Autumn painted the aspens gold, harvest festivals dotting the state. The baby shower was a triumph. Backyard at the family home, balloons bobbing, cake 3 tiers of blue and trucks. Dad manned the grill, apron smeared, joking with Sam about tough love for tots. Alex captured it all in photos, Joshua's hand on Tyler's belly, feeling kicks like Morse code promises. Post-shower, as dusk fell, Dad pulled Joshua to the shed. His workshop, tools gleaming like old friends. Made something. He unveiled a crib, handcrafted oak, carved with initials. T, S, and a tiny J woven in. For the kid. And for you. Back when you were little, I built one. Burned it after. Fixed that too. Joshua traced the wood, grain smooth as healed skin. Dad. Keep it. Legacy's what we build, son. Not what we burn. Tears blurred, hug bone-crushing. Alex watched from the porch, smile soft. Winter whispered in early, Thanksgiving a feast of thanks. Turkey carved, stories of Ray's olive branch. A call to Tyler, halting apology. Tell Josh, I'm trying. Joshua nodded, plate heaped. Heard. That start. Holidays hummed. Christmas with carols and cocoa. New Year's on the balcony. Fireworks blooming as Alex knelt anew. Not proposal, but pledge. Another year. You in. Joshua's yes was kiss-sealed. Bodies swaying into dawn. Slow grind against railing, coats half-shed. Alex's mouth hot on neck, hands guiding hips to friction's edge. Release sparkled like the sky, binding them tighter. Spring 2023 birthed miracles. The Saget's labor on a blooming April morn. Denver general buzzing. Tyler paced, Sam steady, Joshua and Alex in the waiting room with coffee and crosswords. Then, cries, a bundle swaddled in blue. Elias Tyler, named for mountains and men. Holding his nephew, Joshua's heart swelled. Tiny fist clutching finger, eyes wise as ancients. Hey little guy, Uncle's here. Alex's arm around him, Dad's hand on Tyler's shoulder. The photo moment, snapped by Mom, faces alight. Summer romped free. Park picnics with Elias gurgling, brewery crawls where Tyler nursed a NA beer, regaling diaper disasters. Romance for Joshua and Alex? Stolen. Nights babysitting, Elias asleep, leading to couch tangles. Alex's weight pinning, kisses trailing south. Joshua's arches silent to not wake the babe. Pleasure hushed, intense, love layered anew. Fall's equinox brought reflection. The center's grand opening, murals vibrant under floodlights, speeches lauding Joshua's vision. Dad spoke unscripted. My son taught me seeing's believing. Proud. Ray attended, tentative on periphery, but stayed. Post-ceremony handshake with Joshua. Nephew's cute. Sorry for everything. Forgiven, Joshua said. Come to the next one. Humanism in the nod, step forward. Winter closed the circle. Family portrait retaken, Elias center, all faces whole. No scissors, no cuts, just a single sentence etched in hearts. He's family. Period. Years folded like accordions, each pleat a chapter in the grand, gritty American epic. By 2025, Denver had weathered more economic dips, climate tantrums, but Joshua and Alex's life stood resilient. A bungalow bought in Washington Park, garden bursting with tomatoes and zinnias, studio in the garage where they freelanced as a duo, clients from nonprofits to national brands. Tyler's family grew, Elias toddling into mischief, a baby sister, Lila, arriving with autumn's blush. The garage apartment expanded to a duplex, Sam and Tyler's laughter spilling over fences. Joshua's art evolved. Books illustrated for queer youth, murals commissioned statewide, from Boulder co-ops to Pueblo community centers. Therapy with Lena tapered, but her words lingered. Humanity's in the repair. Repair defined them. Dad's health steadied. Bypass scars fading. Golf outings with Joshua where clubs clacked and confessions flowed. Never was good at feelings, he'd grunt, sinking a putt. But learning. Mom quilted a masterpiece. Squares from old tees, Joshua's concert rags, Tyler's shop polos, Alex's faded bandanas, stitched with threads of silver, symbolizing men's. Hung in the bungalow, it warmed winters. Romance? It matured to vintage wine, deep, complex. Anniversaries marked with rituals. Drives to St. Elmo's ghost town. Abandoned mines echoing vows renewed. One golden October, under aspen canopies turning flame, Alex spread a blanket, basket unpacked with brie and berries. 6 years. You still steal my breath. Joshua straddled him, hands framing face. Thief's welcome. Kisses ignited. Lazy at first. Tongues dancing. Fingers unbuttoning slow. Clothes peeled and sunlight dappled. Bodies familiar yet electric. Alex's mouth on Joshua's thigh, drawing whimpers, then enveloping with wet heat. Joshua's fingers tangled in hair, hips bucking gentle. Release a shuddering wave. Reciprocated. Alex's moans harmonized. Joshua's touch reverent. Climax a shared sigh against earth. Tyler thrived. Garage franchised. Sam opening a tattoo parlor downtown. Ink telling stories of resilience. Elias, for now, drew family pictures with crayons. Stick figures under jagged peaks. Rainbows arching overhead. Lila babbled demands. Tiny dictator in pigtails. Uncle Ray, integration gradual, Thanksgiving's tentative, then tradition. His ranch stabilized, therapy his quiet weapon. One Easter, over ham and hot cross buns, he raised a glass to Joshua. You were right. Evolution's the only way. Joshua clinked, grace given free. Conflict crested subtle as life's due. Fall 2025 brought a curve. Alex's agency offered a promotion, NYC headquarters, 6-figure lure. It's huge, he said over dinner, pad thai steaming. For us. Joshua's fork paused, heart clenching. Us? Or you in the Apple, me in the Rockies? Talk stretched nights. Pros weighed, exposure, stability. Cons heavy, roots ripped, mountains mourned. Tyler weighed in over beers. Chase it. Denver's always home. Dad. Blunt. Don't clip wings for comfort. I did. Regret it. Decision crystallized in November chill. Alex accepted hybrid 3 months Big Apple, 9 in Denver. Trial run. Parting at DIA was a hug lingering, kiss airport public but profound. Video every night. Alex promised, boarding. Separation sharpened longing. Texts poetic, calls carnal. Whispers over screens. Hands roaming solo to voices guide. Joshua poured into art. A series, distances, abstracts of blue voids bridged by gold lines. Exhibited at a Cherry Creek gallery to acclaim. Reunions blazed. Alex's returns, bags dropped, bodies crashing through doors. Fucks frantic on hall floors, clothes askew, moans muffled in pillows. Missed you, gasped amid thrusts. Every inch. Tyler's life paralleled. Elias starting preschool. Lila's first words, Uncle Josh. Echoing joys. Family reunions at the cabin revived. Estes Park fireside. Esmore sticky. Stories looping back to that snip. Dad. Now silver-haired. Past the album. Your turn to guard it. Joshua held it. Faces gazing, whole woven. Climax brewed holiday tide. Ray's diagnosis. Cancer. Late stage. Lungs ravaged by regrets and smokes. News hit like blizzard. Family converging at his ranch. Wyoming winds howling isolation. Drive north was somber. Joshua at wheel. Alex beside. Tyler trailing with kids. Ray frail in his rocker. Eyes sharp yet shadowed. Fools rush in. He croaked, gesturing them close. I was the fool. Cutting words. Like cutting soul. Apologies flowed. Tears unchecked. Joshua knelt, hand on knee. We mend. Together. Ray's nod weak but real. Weeks blurred, vigils, hospice hum. Family rotating shifts. Dad read westerns aloud, voice gravelly comfort. Tyler fixed the ranch gate one last time. Sam inked a final tat. A mountain with forgive scripted bold. Ray slipped away December dawn. Sky streaked pink. Funeral sparse, cowboys in Stetsons, eulogies terse. Joshua spoke last. Family's not perfection. Just showing up. Ray did, at the end. That's enough. Grief settled soft, humanism in its hollow. A will leaving the ranch split, portion to the center, for queer youth retreats. Ray's redemption potted in legacy. New Year birthed quiet resolve. Alex's NYC stint proved, city sharpened edges, but Denver heart. They balanced, love elastic. Spring 2026 green gentle. Elias's birthday bash, piñata bursting candy rain. Joshua sketched the chaos, Alex capturing candids. Tyler toasted. To sentences unspoken, but felt. Summer solstice under full moon, Joshua and Alex renewed. Backyard circle, friends and family. Rings exchanged anew. Vows whispered. Through cuts and comebacks, you're my whole. Passion post-ceremony. Guest crashed out, they slipped to studio. Easel pushed aside. Bodies on dropcloth. Paint-smeared caresses turning erotic. Fingers slick with cerulean tracing arcs, mouths following. Joshua on knees taking Alex deep, flavors mingling. Reciprocal, Alex's control fraying, Joshua's cries paint-flecked. Release artistic, messy masterpiece. Fall harvested peace. Center's retreat opened, kids hiking Ray's land. Stories shared round campfires. Dad retired, golfing with grandkids. Mom's quilts sold for charity. Threads binding communities. Winter closed eternal. Portrait updated. Elias and Lila grinning center. All faces lit. Joshua traced Tyler's line, that single sentence, now scripture. In America's vast, varied tapestry. Mountains majestic, cities pulsing. They'd woven theirs. Dramatic falls, emotional rises. Romantic fires, humanistic holds. Cut once but never severed. Whole at last.